What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, two-time super middleweight world champion Mexican superstar boxer David Benavidez. He did an interview in which he's promoting his upcoming fight this Saturday against Ronald Ellis this Saturday night. With that said, he addressed two-division world champion, undefeated WBC reigning middleweight world champion superstar boxer Jermall Charlo. And David Benavidez, he had some interesting takes. He says that he's going to keep applying pressure to Jermall Charlo until Jermall Charlo fights him, because he should have never opened his mouth and stated that he would come up to 168 and knock out David Benavidez. So David Benavidez is saying, now that I'm applying this pressure, he's coming up with tons of excuses for why he's not fighting me. He says it doesn't matter, because now I'm going to continue to apply the pressure to him until he fights me. He says it's no longer about the belts. He does not even want to be the mandatory challenger for the WBC belt. He says he wants to bypass that and fight Jermall Charlo. He said that's a huge fight for us. It's bigger. It has bigger implications on it than fighting for a world championship. He says if I can make a statement out of Jermall Charlo, then Canelo Alvarez, four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer, who's currently the unified WBC WBA super middleweight world champion after he defeated Caleb Smith for the WBA belt and the WBC belt that David Benavidez lost on the scales, is available. He's saying that was available to Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez beat Caleb Smith and got to pick up the belt. David Benavidez is saying that as long as I fight and beat Jermall Charlo, I'm going to apply pressure to him and Canelo Alvarez. He says, but this is a huge fight. It's arguably the biggest fight that could be made in the sport of boxing. Now, I have to disagree there, because I believe the biggest fight in the sport of boxing is obviously, in my opinion, is undefeated three-division world champion, who's currently the WBO welterweight world champion, Terrence Bud Crawford, and Errol the True Spence Jr., undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer. So this would definitely be top three biggest fights in the sport of boxing, David Benavidez and Jermall Charlo. David Benavidez, 23-0, 20 wins by way of knockout. He stands at 6'2" with a 77-inch arm reach. He is 24 years of age, and he will be facing Ronald Ellis this Saturday night, who is 18-1-2. So with that said, he says that Jermall Charlo mentioned his name first. He says Jermall Charlo was not on his radar. He wasn't paying attention to Jermall Charlo as an opponent. He knew who Jermall Charlo was, but not as an opponent. He says until Jermall Charlo started making mention of his name and saying he would knock him out, he says that's when he got on my radar, and now he's my objective number one. Wow. Jermall Charlo, 31 wins, no losses, 22 wins by way of knockout. He's 30 years of age, stands 6 feet tall with a 73-inch arm reach. So David Benavidez will have a 2-inch to nearly a 3-inch height advantage over Jermall Charlo, and he have a 3-inch arm reach, 3.5-inch arm reach advantage over Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo 73.5. David Benavidez is 77. So he would have a 3.5-inch arm reach over Jermall Charlo. Last time we saw Jermall Charlo, he got a unanimous decision victory over Sergey Derevyanchenko. That was September 26th of 2020. He headlined his first pay-per-view card. So with that said, David Benavidez, he completely wants this fight with Jermall Charlo. He's eager to get this fight with Jermall Charlo. So, David Benavidez, he's been calling out Jermall Charlo ever since, okay? Jermall Charlo, he did a few live streams on his social media, and he addressed David Benavidez, and he stated that he wasn't a 168-pounder. He's not even a 160-pounder. He says he's just looking to get the best fights out there. He also stated, which I took in with a grain of salt, when he stated that, he don't want to fight a guy who's 25 and under. You got to be older than 25. Obviously, David Benavidez is not 25 yet. He stated that, you had to be vaccinated before you fight Jermall Charlo. So these are things that Jermall Charlo has made mention of. And David Benavidez is saying that the next thing he's going to want to see is my diploma or my GED. He says he's making up every excuse possible not to fight me. So I'm going to continue to put the pressure on him, because he should have never mentioned my name. This is what David Benavidez had to say regarding Jermall Charlo. So he stated that he wants to earn the Canelo Alvarez fight. And he says that he feels that Canelo Alvarez has been avoiding himself and Jermall Charlo. So this is a fight that, that could be a stepping stone towards Canelo Alvarez. So he says that, it's a huge fight. And in my opinion, this is the biggest fight that can be made out of this crop of fighters. Because guess what? If Canelo Alvarez is not facing Jermall Charlo or David Benavidez, Canelo Alvarez, even a fight with Billy Joe Saunders, is not a bigger fight than David Benavidez versus Jermall Charlo. Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant is a huge fight. Caleb Plant is not as big of a name as David Benavidez and Jermall Charlo. So Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez is still a bigger fight than Canelo Alvarez versus, Caleb Plant. Now, there's an undisputed match, right? And its implications, with the Billy Joe Saunders fight. It's a unification bout. Billy Joe Saunders is the WBO champion at super middleweight, and Caleb Plant is the IBF champion at super middleweight. So you have the road to undisputed. But as far as star power goes, Jermall Charlo versus David Benavidez is a much bigger fight than any fight Canelo Alvarez can make thus far. Okay, so this is a huge opportunity for both guys. Like I said, this is the biggest fight in boxing, I believe. Not named Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. Okay, this would be an action-packed fight, as David Benavidez says. He says their styles will clash. He says because Jermall Charlo is going to stand his ground and I'm going to stand my ground. Neither one are going to back down. So he's giving Jermall Charlo his credit and his props. He's saying that neither guy's going to back down. The rubber's going to meet the road. Essentially, is what David Benavidez is saying. It's action-packed fight. So, he feels like that David Benavidez, he feels like this is the perfect opportunity and the perfect fight to catapult both guys, the winner, into a Canelo Alvarez fight and make it very hard and difficult for Canelo Alvarez to avoid the winner of this fight. This is what he feels like. And he says that now he's asking me for a catchweight. I never said I was going to go down to 160 and challenge him. He said he was going to come up to 168 and knock me out. So now you make these claims. Now you're going to have to stand by it. He says now you can't back out. You can't back down. And I'm going to continue to apply the pressure. This is what David Benavidez has to say because this is a fight that he wants. He's pursuing. So.
And that just, the type of stuff he says is very silly. I mean, isn't it enough that we go through these protocols already? I'm tested negative all the time. And now he wants to do it at a catch weight. But before, I had heard Charlo, let me tell you how it started. I had heard Charlo was going to come up to 168 last year. So I kept getting interviewed. People kept asking me, and I had never disrespected him at any point. I said, I like Charlo. I like the way he fights. Me, just looking into the fight as a fan, I would think it would be an amazing fight. I feel like me and Charlo have a similar style, and it would be a great fight. They kept asking me. I kept saying the same stuff. And I think I seen an interview with Charlo not too long ago. And he said, he would knock me the F out. He's all, I'll break, I'll snap his neck. I'll go up to 160, I'll snap his neck. He's exactly like Lubin. I'm like, all right, so if you're going to talk to me like that, you better be ready to back to words. So I never back down from nobody. So I kept saying that. I didn't say I was going to go down to 160. I didn't say I wanted to fight him at a catch weight. He said he was going to come up to my weight class. So I think when people really started putting the pressure on him, this type of stuff said that he wants me to get vaccinated. He wants me, he wants to meet at a catch weight. He wants to see proof of GED. You know what I mean?
So you see what he said? He said now he's asking for all his proof. He's making up all these excuses. He wants to fight at a catch weight. He wants to, proof of my GED, right? Obviously, he's making fun. But this is a huge fight. Jermall Charlo, the last time we saw him in the ring was September 26th of 2020. He's been out the rings October, November, December, January, February, March. We are in March, 6 months out the ring already, okay? And you got to think, when is he going to fight anytime soon? By the time he fights, at least another 2 months. By the time his announcement comes, and then it's going to at least be 6 to 8 weeks before the fight is actually there. We're talking at least 8 to 9 months since the last time he was in the squared circle, okay? So David Benavidez, he's saying, let's make the fight happen in September. It's a huge fight for us. It has huge implications for it. It's a mega fight. And I have to agree, it is a massive fight. Jermall Charlo, he stated that he's not interested in facing Demetrius Boo Boo Andre. He's the WBO champion. Gennady Triple G Golovkin, we know recently he's turned down the offer to fight, Jermall Charlo. He's focused on Jaime Munguia. So he's the IBF middleweight world champion. Muradit, we don't know what he's doing. He's inactive, okay? So with that said, if he's not going to fight Murata, if he's not going to fight Gennady Triple G Golovkin, and he's not going to fight Demetrius Andrade, then his next fight, those are the top 3 guys at 160. Who's it going to be against, okay? It's not going to be a unification battle. So Jermall Charlo, who headlined his first card, now was in a big fight against Sergey Derevyanchenko. Now you can't look backwards. You can't take a step backwards. You got to only take a step forwards in the biggest fights possible. So with that said, this is the biggest fight possible. He could face off against, obviously I would say, seeing as though David Benavidez, he's fighting, this weekend, so he's active. Jermall Charlo needs to have a fight. So maybe he fights Danny Jacobs. They have a history. They have a storyline. Danny Jacobs is at 168. He campaigned at 160. That's a perfect fight. If he get past Danny Jacobs, which is no foregone conclusion, but if he does get past Danny Jacobs at 168, then it makes sense to go into a David Benavidez fight at 168. So I believe it's a huge fight. I believe, it was the top 3 fights. It would be top 3 fights, like David Benavidez says. Stylistically, they're going to clash. The rubber's going to meet the road. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blueblood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blueblood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.